Welcome to War Thunder Extended Pain Edition. Now you might be going, what is Extended Pain Edition? Well, that's when you get into top tier and you've got a attacker, a strike aircraft, let's just say an A7E or an A7D, even an A4, E or B. And you want to get that plane out there and you want to spade it. But your problem is you have a subsonic aircraft which isn't capable of doing a lot of great maneuvers. In other words, it's not a dogfighter. And you are sitting there going, how am I going to get this aircraft up to snuff so that I can actually do the job that it's supposed to do? And then Gaijin, somewhere out of no place that I understand, changes two things in the game. One, they add EC maps. Best move they've done in 9 years. Absolutely best move they've done in 9 years. Then they moved all strike aircraft to the runway and did not differentiate between supersonic strike aircraft, which is all the Russians have, and subsonic strike aircraft, which is all the Americans have. And, well, I can't say the British because their Buccaneer is subsonic. Almost all the Israeli aircraft are subsonic. Let's see. Germany doesn't have a strike aircraft really, so they're kind of let out of that. But see the problem here? I'm not saying there's Russian bias, because honestly, a Su-22 or a MiG-27, which are both strike aircraft, I don't care what they've listed them as, fighter. No, it's not. It's a strike aircraft. It is designed for putting bombs on target. Or rockets, the basics of close air support. The Su-7, that's a very high-speed aircraft at a lower BR. But Gaijin, for some reason, decided to lump the U.S. aircraft into the same genre. And they're slow. Dear God, they are slow. When you're dealing in a tier where you've got supersonic aircraft and you're trying to fly an A7, now A7's not a bad aircraft. I've got quite a few kills with them, but most of the time it's AI. And because I'm not going out initially, I'm letting the fighters go out there and do their job. Now we've got three fighters left. And the enemy has three. The enemy's got 3 left. So that would mean I could probably go out there and get killed. And it really isn't that enticing. We look at the map and we've got all sorts of free targets out there. But the fight has evolved over the battlefield, the ground battlefield. And to go into that environment with a slow-moving attack aircraft, which, when laden with bombs or rockets or even missiles, it's not very conducive to finishing the match. Well, we're down to one left. So let's see. Maybe we'll take off. I don't know. Why not? It is on the cutting edge of crazy what they've done. And I really don't think that Gaijin thought through the move on putting all strike aircraft on the airfield. I get it for the Russian aircraft. The Russian aircraft are supersonic. They're fast. They can go from point A to point B quite quickly. The problem is not all strike aircraft are the same. That's like, it just, they're not all the same. And it doesn't matter how well armed you are and how sophisticated your weapons, if you can't get the weapons to bear, it's just like not having them. That MiG-21, he's out there a ways. And again, I'm not very fast. This is a slow plane. And that's a relative speed. I mean, 430 miles an hour, you do the metric conversion. I'm not going to. But when you're going over 400 miles an hour, you're going good clip. But when you're talking about going up against planes that are able to do that idling, and the F-8 got him. Good shooting, Frenchie. So that leaves me in a situation where I took off and I've got nowhere to go. But that's the epitome of the current top tier. Now, an EC map is a completely different animal. I have no problem taking off on an EC map. EC maps are large enough that you can get away from initial contact positions. And especially when the fast movers are getting out there and they're going actively looking for the oncoming enemy. Let the fighters do their job. Go out there and kill the enemy. Let the attack aircraft, the bombers, the strike aircraft, go do their job. Take the fight to the enemy fighters and get them off our backs so that we can do our job. Now, it's kind of hard when you've got, let's say, a Su-17, a Su-22, a MiG-23, or excuse me, MiG-27, a Su-7, and being able to do your job at the same time that the fighters are out there trying to do their job. The difference is you're fast. You can get to a point quickly, dump your ordnance, and then you're also, at that point, maneuverable enough to be able to actually do some additional damage in the match. A7, not so much. Those Sidewinders are for self-defense. If you can get the enemy to overshoot and then pull up enough to get the Sidewinder to lock, do it. AIM-9D is a good missile. AIM-9G is an even better missile. And if you're flying the A7D, you've got the AIM-9J. Don't even waste your time with the AIM-9E. AIM-9E is garbage. Now, somebody will say, oh, it's a lot better missile than the AIM-9B. Yeah, sort of. It's got an uncaged seeker, but it still has the same poor maneuvering capabilities that the AIM-9B has. So it really doesn't, it's not an improvement. The AIM-9J is an improvement. The AIM-9D and the AIM-9G are better missiles. And until we get the AIM-9L and the AIM-9M, we're kind of stuck as far as U.S. and certain NATO forces are concerned. I say NATO forces, but I mean Italy, Japan, Germany, Britain, France. Well, France basically goes with the Matras, the magic missiles, which are good missiles. And I think Israel's gone with their own version of the AIM-9 Sidewinder. So there's that. China ends up being AIM-9s and whatever the People's Liberation Air Force or Army Air Force, People's Liberation Army Air Force use as far as missiles go. I have no idea, don't care, don't fly the Chinese at all. I will not waste my time going through a copy-paste tech tree to get to jets. I won't even bother with the reserve aircraft. There's nothing in that entire air fleet that I am interested in. And there's nothing in the ground forces I'm interested in either. It's really down to, this is a problem that Gaijin created. They did a great thing, and then they took 2 steps backwards. Now, ground takeoffs on an EC map are not a problem. It's ground takeoffs on all the rest of them, especially when you're dealing with these planes. They're not fast, relatively speaking. 500 miles an hour going into a target is pretty quick. If you're talking about relatively, it is. If you're talking about in comparison to the fighters that it's going to end up going against, it's not. If I were to say this plane was to be going up against a Sabre, it'd be even. Probably not even because, well, this has got a better gun and it's got 2 missiles that will definitely wreck any Sabre in the sky because they can be fired from well beyond the Sabre's detection range. And the gun is just amazing. And with over 1,000 rounds, it's just like brip, 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 brip. It just keeps going and going and going. And it's almost the equivalent in speed. So I don't have a problem there. The problem is when you're going up against MiG-21s and MiG-23s and, Mirage and the like. It gets a bit hairy out there, and nobody's here to protect you. They're not playing this like a strike package where you've got fighters watching over the attack aircraft, the strike aircraft, to shepherd them to their target and let them leave the area while engaging the enemy fighters. We don't have that sort of coordination in War Thunder. And there is no monetary or points reward for doing that. Now, Gaijin could create a scenario. And, oh my goodness, they actually had one back in the day. Flight of Swallows, I think it was called, where you had a bunch of B-17s and a bunch of escort fighters, I think it was P-51s, and a bunch of attacking Me-262s. Now, the only problem with that scenario was the size of the map. If the map had been the size of an EC map, that would have been one of the most awesome maps ever. That would have been one of the most awesome engagements that you could get in War Thunder. All that and a box of chocolates. It would have been absolutely spectacular. But apparently that didn't last long. The old Bastogne map, where you had a flight of, I think it was 9 B-17s coming in to drop bombs on the target. What happened? Why'd you take them out? Well, the Germans didn't have anything coming in to do any bombing. Well, why not? Why not? This is what Gaijin does occasionally. They get something good, and then they screw it up. And honestly, they do. They screw it up. It's like, what are you doing? Why did you do that? So, honestly, give the A7 and the A4s their air start back on the small maps. Anything below an EC map, and that includes alternate history Spain, which you royally messed up. Give the air spawn back. It just, and the same thing for the Buccaneer. And what the heck is going on out there? But that's something that Gaijin needs to address. It seems they don't like to take direction from the content creators. And now, I'm not in the content creators program. And honestly, I don't make enough videos to be worthy of being in the content creators program. And I don't have enough followers. So, if you like this, click the like button and subscribe. Otherwise, y'all have a pleasant today, a better tomorrow. We'll catch you in the sky in Air Realistic on the good maps, of which the EC maps are the best maps in the game, bar none. Take care, folks. Be good. And, by the way, this is the only place that wars should be fought, in games. Take care.